Construction is the most human industry on earth. Nothing gets built without trust between trades, judgment calls made in real time, and people showing up, physically and mentally, every single day. And yet, the way this industry is talking about AI right now, you'd think the goal is to engineer the human out of the equation entirely. But here's the number. 79% of construction organizations have either zero AI implementation or are testing it in limited ways. 79%. But every conference, every trade publication, every vendor pitch is screaming that AI is about to change everything. And they're not wrong, I think it will. But the conversation is pointed in the wrong direction. We're obsessing over what machines can do, when we should be asking what machines will never do, and what that means for the people who lead this industry. Daniel Pink, author of A Whole New Mind and Drive, just put out a framework for the 6 human skills AI will never replace. It's smart, but it's generic. Today, I'm going to take that framework and put a hard hat on it. Because when the world gets more artificial, construction doesn't just need to get more human. It needs to get more intentionally human, about how we lead, how we build teams, and how we develop people. It starts by asking the question nobody in the trailer is asking right now. Pink's first skill is asking better questions. His argument, when answers are everywhere, curiosity becomes a scarce resource. In construction, we have a version of this that's even more extreme. We're an industry that rewards answers and punishes uncertainty. The PM who says, I don't know, at an OAC meeting, doesn't get praised for intellectual honesty. They usually get replaced. But AI is about to make having the answer table stakes. When your estimator can pull historical cost data and your scheduler can run delay simulations in seconds, the value shifts to the person who asks, why are we building it this way in the first place? Or, what's the question that the owner is actually asking when they say they want value engineering? The leadership gap here is real. The industry needs roughly 349,000 net new workers in 2026 alone just to meet demand. But the hardest roles to fill are entry-level labor. They're senior superintendents, project managers, senior estimators. People who don't just process information, they take it and reframe and make something useful out of it. Here's a scenario. A GC is 3 weeks behind on a healthcare project. Their AI scheduling tool flags it and generates 5 recovery options. Every PM in the room can read the options, but the one who asks, before we accelerate, has anyone talked to the mechanical sub about what's actually slowing them down? Is this a schedule problem or a people problem? That's the person AI cannot replace. AI can give you 5 answers in 5 seconds, but if you're asking the wrong question, you just got to the wrong place faster. So once you've asked the right question and you've got a stack of AI-generated options in front of you, that's where the next skill kicks in. Number 2, develop job site judgment, the taste that AI doesn't have. Pink calls this developing good taste, discernment, judgment, the ability to look at a pile of options and say with confidence, that one. In construction, we don't call it taste, we call it experience, field sense. The gut that a 25-year super has, that a 5-year super does. And here's the problem. That's exactly what's about to walk out the door. A significant portion of the experienced leadership in construction is approaching retirement age. When they leave, they take decades of practical knowledge with them, sequencing instincts, subcontract relationships, cost control reflexes built through repetition. AI can process the data, but it can't walk the slab and feel that something's off before the site survey confirms it. Judgment isn't just a cognitive skill. It's built through exposure, mentorship, and psychological safety. People develop judgment faster in environments where they're allowed to make calls and learn from getting them wrong. Crush that space and you produce technically competent people, but no instinct. Did you know that only 27% of AEC professionals currently use AI in their operations? The other 73% are still running on human judgment alone. That's not a criticism. It's a statement about how much this industry still depends on the people in the field. AI can generate 100 options. Judgment is knowing which three to look at and which one to bet the project on. But judgment alone isn't enough. Because in construction, the first version of anything, the first estimate, the first schedule, the first coordination plan, it's almost always wrong, and it's just a baseline. And that's not failure, that's just how the process works. So we need to iterate while we build, version by version, pour by pour. Pink's third skill is relentless iteration. His example, James Dyson built 5,000 prototypes. But here's the thing, construction people don't need a vacuum cleaner analogy. We already iterate for a living. Every RFI is an iteration. Every coordination clash resolved in a BIM model is an iteration. Every schedule update after a concrete delay is an iteration. We live in a revision. The AI piece here is genuinely useful. AI can generate variations at a speed humans can't match. Cost scenarios, schedule alternatives, layout options. But it still takes a human to look at those iterations and say, this one accounts for the crane access we'll need in phase 3. Or this saves money but puts the mechanical sub in an impossible sequence. Another important part is leadership. We need to create a culture where iteration isn't seen as a failure. Too many construction organizations treat the first plan as the final plan, and every change as a problem. The best leaders know that refinement is the job. The magic isn't in the first pour, it's in everything you learn between the first and the last. Let's look at another scenario. Pre-construction on a $40 million institutional project. AI generates 12 cost model variations in 2 hours. Work that used to take a team 2 weeks. But the estimator who looks at version 7 and says, wait, this assumes precast availability that doesn't exist in the current market right now, and redirects to version 4 with modifications. That human iteration is what protects the project and the team. AI can generate 100 iterations before lunch, but it'd take the builder to know which one will actually survive contact with the field. Now let's talk about a skill that construction is always needed, but rarely named. Pink calls it composition. I call it orchestration. And in this industry, it's everything. We need to orchestrate the build, humans, machines, and the mess in between. Pink's 4th and 5th skills are composition and allocation, assembling pieces into something coherent, and knowing when to deploy humans versus machines. In construction, these are the same skill. It's called running a project, and it's about to get a lot more complex. Think about what a senior PM or superintendent actually does. They're composing a building in real time. They're sequencing trades, managing personalities, negotiating change orders, reading owner politics, balancing safety with schedule, all while making 100 micro decisions a day that never appear on any dashboard. That's orchestration, and AI just can't do it. What AI will do is add instruments to the orchestra. Early adopters in construction are already reporting savings of 500 to 1,000 hours annually. 38% of contractors say that they're seeing measurable business impact from AI, double from a year ago. The tools are real. Drones for inspections, AI-powered vision systems catching PPE violations, scheduling tools that flag delay risks before they cascade. These are all amazing tools or instruments, but someone still needs to be the conductor. The future isn't human or machine, it's human and machine, each doing what they're best at. And the leaders who understand how to allocate what gets delegated to the algorithm and what stays with the human will run the best projects and build the best teams. The AI in construction market is projected to grow from roughly $2.2 billion in 2026 to nearly $25 billion by 2035, a 31% compound annual growth rate. That's not a trend, that's a structural shift. And it means the orchestration role, the human who decides how these tools get deployed in the field, is going to be the most valuable job in the industry. The best superintendent in 2030 won't be the one who can do everything. It'll be the one who knows what to hand the machine and what to keep in human hands. This brings us to the point that ties everything together. And frankly, it's the one this industry needs to hear the most. We need to lead with integrity, because AI has no conscience. Pink's final skill is integrity, and his framing is dead on. Every technological revolution forces a moral reckoning. AI can hallucinate, fabricate, and confidently produce garbage. It has no conscience, no responsibility, no moral compass. Only humans bring that. And in construction, an industry where a wrong call can injure someone or worse, where a cut corner today shows up as a structural failure 10 years later, integrity isn't abstract, it's load-bearing. Construction recorded over 1,000 work-related fatalities in the U.S. in 2023, more than any other industry. Falls, slips, and trips accounted for 39% of those deaths. AI-powered safety tools are making a dent. Contractors are using platforms like Filed, report reductions in serious incidents of up to 48%. But the technology only works when leaders create cultures where safety isn't just monitored, it's valued. Where a worker feels safe enough to say, I'm not comfortable doing this, and the response isn't, then we'll find someone who is. Individual wellness, a worker who's rested, focused, and mentally present, is a safety system. Team psychological safety, a crew that speaks up, flags risks, and trusts their leadership, is a safety system. AI can monitor for PPE compliance from a camera on a crane, but it can't build trust that makes a crew look out for each other. Integrity is also about how leaders adopt AI itself. Are you using it to genuinely make people's work better? Reducing repetitive tasks, improving safety, giving people better information to make better calls? Or are you using it to surveil, to squeeze, to justify cutting headcount without cutting scope? The tool is neutral. The intent behind it is everything. AI can tell you if someone is wearing their harness. It can't tell you if they feel safe enough to say they're struggling. That's still on you. So here's where I'll leave you. The AI conversation in construction is going to get louder. More vendors, more tools, more pressure to adopt, and a lot of it will be worth adopting. But don't let the noise make you forget what actually builds things. People who ask the right questions. People with judgment to know the difference between a good option and the right one. People who iterate, who orchestrate, who lead with integrity when nobody's watching. When the world gets more artificial, construction needs to get more human. Not softer, not slower, more intentionally human. Here's your challenge for this week. Pick one of those 5 skills, just one, and ask yourself, am I building this in my team? Am I building it in myself? Because the leaders who will be irreplaceable in 5 years aren't the ones who learned the most tools. They're the ones who got more human while everyone else was chasing more artificial. I'm Angelo. This is the human side of construction. Let's get to work. There's a lot to do.
If you're a leader in the construction industry and want to discuss how you are addressing workforce challenges in your organizations, or if you have a construction experience that you want to share with the world, we want to hear from you. Reach out to me at angelo@hsoc.one, that's ANGELO @hsoc.one, to see how we can work together.